Okay, we left executive session, and we're gonna ask staff to, they're authorizing agreement with the ironclad contract, signature authority to recommend. And so now we're gonna go into workshop. It is 2:00, Curry County Board of Commissioners, March 3rd, 2021 meeting, and we have up Roadmaster Richard Christensen. Please go up to the podium and adjust the microphone, yes? Yeah.
One quick note, Commissioner, that's gonna have to be read on the record in the regular meeting. This is the workshop.
Yeah,
So the
I
normal.
just come out of executive session into regular session.
workshop.
Workshop.
And instructed staff.
No, I understand, but that has to be read on the record of the agenda of the main meeting, not the workshop.
See, this
Because
is a
it was a
workshop,
main-
not a meeting.
We just left executive session into regular session, right?
So we have to open up the
No,
regular
we didn't.
meeting.
Am I?
We
No,
weren't
you
in
can go into
regular
workshop, but
session.
when we go back into our regular meeting to close out our regular meeting, because we haven't done a lot of the director's report, our report, those kind of things.
Yeah,
that just
I've already
needs to be read.
discussed that with Director Ricker. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Commissioners. Good afternoon. Richard Christensen, Curry County Roadmaster. I'm here today with our County Contract Engineer Dyer Partnership, Mike Erickson, and Andrew Hall, who put the 6-year facility plan together for us on our road infrastructure, and to talk about that structure and other infrastructure and how we're going to pay for it and chase grant funding for projects. And we're going to talk about how this document's going to work and what the projects are, and for you to have input on it. We have finished our review of this, and we're looking for your input as well. And so this is going to be a 2-part workshop. The first part's going to be going over this draft and answering any of your questions and explaining what we're using this tool for. And then the second part is that we want to do another facility plan, a stormwater facility plan, this fiscal year, in our next fiscal year budget here. And and we would like to talk about that and how we want to move that forward. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Mike Erickson and Andy Hall with Dyer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. You will probably want to adjust the mic there, too.
Okay. I'm Mike Erickson, also the county surveyor here, so we're doing some interim coverage of the surveys that are going on in the county. The Sandy Hall, one of our PEs at the professional engineers at Dyer Partnership. So the 6-year capital improvement project sort of came about at the request of the road department, and the intention was to provide guidance over this next 6 years. Started in the current year we're in, the 2021, and then carries on for a period of 6 years, providing some overall guidance on the projects that we think that are needed to occur, and priority ranking. And so that was development of the projects was based on road department's review. They have some analysis of road conditions, and based on their input as well as our review of the conditions out there, we developed an overall improvement plan. And road department obviously has a sort of a pool of money that they use to do the projects over the years, and that fund is continuing to decrease in value. So one of the methods the county has used to sort of get the biggest project they can is they will try to get funding for certain projects, and that allows that overall fund to continue to extend for a period of time. So this document was to try to provide some guidance where you're sort of using that fund for the longest period you can. But obviously the project, if you guys have had a chance to go in and delve with the overall improvements, we show the fund starting around the reserve fund around 18 million, and the end of the 6 years that fund is down to about a little over 6 million. So obviously you just can't continue to go down the road that way, because you're going to run out of monies for doing those type of projects. So eventually something's gonna have to give. But right now, the guidance we were asked to is develop a 6-year project and outline projects that are gonna occur each year, and possibility some of those projects do have some outside funding, primarily from the state, and that helps, again, placate the projects the county needs to do. So that's just sort of a summary. What has been included in the CIP, obviously, you have, we'll call them construction improvement projects. That's where you're improving I'll say the road per se beyond what it currently exists. You have maintenance projects to where you're basically maintaining chip sealing. That's more of I'll call it a preventive. You're not necessarily adding a new improvement to the road per se. And then there are also guardrail is an item we show a funding in there each year, because the guardrails need to have a yearly maintenance to get those brought up to speed. The other element is the storm drain element. That we show some cost in there, but we don't really have necessarily a good feel for the projects that need to take place yet. And that's one of the things that the next workshop discusses, the storm drain master plan. Is there any other items you think as far as?
Well, part of that maintenance is also land acquisition. We had a few properties that they can look at for clean spoils disposal and whatnot. And we went through each year and provide a pretty detailed layout of all the projects, studies that Richard's gonna do with like chip sealing projects, and budget that. And then we also have unscheduled CIP projects that, you know, if funding allows, we'll be able to, or Richard will be able to look at projects, go from there. So.
Okay.
Some of the projects won't happen unless we receive a grant.
Why don't you just take one of them off the mic stand and get to sit your seat with
Good
it.
idea.
Some of the projects identified in this plan will not be completed if we are not successful with grants. And, you know, part of having this facility plan, when we apply for grants, it raises our grant scores. It's a living document once the board adopts it.
Okay.
I guess I would, you know, sort of a workshop, so we're trying to see if there's some input that commissioners would have on that with what they're seeing on their side. So we're trying to make this sort of you know, a guidance tool for the county, at least on the road department, the needs there, and it serves as a good basis. I think this current year, Richard said you're sort of ahead of the funding is turning out better than what we're showing as far as what the reserve fund is being reduced by. So that's a real good get. So
Yes, at the time we started this plan, we had projected that we were gonna use $4 million of road funds this fiscal year. And what we found out was that we had a $5 million rollover from the previous fiscal year where we had only projected 1.5 million. And this is where that open gov, I think, is really gonna help us be more seeing where our budgets lie in a more timely manner. So I'm really excited about that. But, you know, we had this huge windfall, I will call it, and then, you know, we've been working really efficiently and effectively and saving money as well. And so I kind of see where this start off of the road fund and this plan of being 18 million is really, you know, 22, 23 million. But we'll get that number before we bring this plan back to you to have it adopted.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just, you know, answering your question on a workshop. I'm one of those people that relies on the people that we hire and put into positions to do their jobs. And I fully trust our roadmaster to do his plan and foresee what we're going to need over this next 6 years. So for me, I'm looking more for just a report of what you're going to look at exactly in storm drains, in roads and chip seal, those kind of things. and just your approximate, what you estimate a budget for that to be, that's more what I'm looking at. I mean, you know what we need in this county. I trust you for that. So all we need to know is the where's, the when's, and where's it going to come from, as far as I'm concerned, for this board.
Okay, would you like to go over each of the 6 years in this plan, which is, the first year is the one we're working on and we're almost completed with, and you could see whether we did what we said we were gonna do or not. And then you could see what we plan for the next years, provided some of these projects will be funded or some of them may not, because we don't wanna pay full value. Our goal is to obtain state and federal funding where we're paying 10% of project value. So if it's $1 million project, we want to pay $100,000. And so, but if we don't get the grant, that project will not be done that fiscal year. It'll be pushed out till that grant is obtained.
Before you go there, Roadmaster Christensen, just give the public just a little more information on the windfall you just mentioned. I mean, that was obviously pretty good news for the road department and your management. Thank you.
Well, basically, you know, I think we all been running shorthanded and everything. And at the time when we were doing our budgets, the information I had from finance at the time was projecting X amount of dollars. And when I budget revenue, I always budget conservatively, you know, because I want to make sure that I don't come up short. And also too is when I budget projects, I look at what we think the actual cost is going to be, and you know, I figure it kind of high. If we kind of and see, you know, we come in better. So I try to budget that way. So I don't, because we're not dealing with solid numbers all the time. And I think with this open gov, it's going to help me have a better revenue forecast with rollover funds, because before the loss of timber funds, typically the road department had $3-4 million a year rollover funds every year, and that wasn't the case here the last few years. And so this last year, we were using numbers from not a completed fiscal year previous fiscal year budget, and we were guessing what that number was going to be. And I was guessing, you know, 2 million, and I put in 1.5 million. And then when I talked to Sina, when we did our mid-year budget review, she said, Rich, it's 5 million. Okay, so I mean, that's what the windfall was. It was a budgeting error, if I had to say that.
I think this board, can I speak for you, is pretty agreeing with Commissioner Pash. No undue flattery.
To make more errors like that?
No, we have a lot of confidence in the direction of the road department.
Yeah.
We've
Oh,
had
yeah.
3 tremendously talented roadmasters in the last 30 years. Commissioner Pash?
I just, for full transparency for the public and this board, a couple days ago, we invited the roadmaster and the sheriff's department to sit in on the new budgeting program on this OpenGov. And I think they were both really impressed. I know McDonald said he was pretty impressed at how easy it went and how good it was. And I'm hearing Richard say the same thing.
Thank you.
So I guess, you know, Andy, you feel comfortable just going through the 6 years of what the projects were, and I can answer whether or not we did them, or at least the first year, and what we're projecting out for the next.
Yeah, we can go through those. Construction projects, or projects that the county hires out contractors to do. They had a few FEMA projects. Projects listed are Gardner Ridge Road. Do you want me to go through costs, or just?
No, just say the projects.
Okay, Gardner Ridge Road.
That's, will be completed here this month, so just wanted to let you know on that.
Langlois Mountain Road at milepost 5.7. That was also a FEMA project.
That's complete.
Complete. Cedar Valley and McKinnon, basically a big culvert project. That's complete. Non-emergency related but contracted projects were Nicholson Drive, Azalea Lane,
Yeah, all those were our 2020 paving projects, and they're all complete.
Morrill Bridge.
Morrill Bridge has been delayed due to permitting and environmental review with State Historic Preservation Office because we ran into tribal artifacts. And
Morrill Bridge
so-
is where?
Morrill Bridge is 9 miles up Flores Creek Road.
Creek
Oh,
Road.
okay, wow.
Basically at
That's
end
the
of
one I want on you, with you on that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Paving projects, like overlay projects, Cemetery Loop, Port Orford Loop, Zoomwalt Lane, Cedar Valley Road.
All those projects are complete. And not only that, is we reached out to Port Orford if they wanted to piggyback, and we completed some of their projects as well. But they paid for them. We didn't make any money, and so we completed all that work as well.
And then in the construction projects, we have striping. We do a couple miles of
180 miles of striping that was completed.
with storm drainage projects. We gave a kind of an overall, just a number in the CIP to take care of those.
Yeah, we completed 2 storm drain projects. One, Checa River head wall project for around $100,000, and then we did another storm drain project on the neighborhood here just north of town. We about $30,000.
And then you have, each year we budgeted in the CIP guardrail replacement.
Yeah, this year we weren't able to obtain it, we wanted to do $100,000 of work, but today you approved $19,000 of work, so we didn't meet our goal on that, but we plan on the next 4 years or 5 years to meet that goal.
Now we go into the maintenance category. That's basically chip sealing, the county chip
Yeah.
sealing. You guys, we have in the CIP report, Cedar Valley Road, Hunter Creek Complex, Hunter Creek Loop, Hunter Creek Road, Mateer Road, North Bank Rogue River Road, and South Bank Chetco River Road.
Yeah, all those projects were completed, and also we did, I believe it was 12 miles of Carpenterville Road for the state. So we piggybacked with the state, and we didn't make any money on that project, but we didn't lose any money, and we were able to get additional revenue of, I believe it was about $80,000 into our budget this year for that work.
Chip seals are a little bit weather dependent. Usually you
Right.
need
Yeah.
obviously the warmer summer month just for that to work out. So usually now that we're past that, so most of the chip seals coming up in this next year will be after
Yeah, and our chip seals are superior chip seals from what I'm seeing that other counties are doing. And a lot of it has to do with the training, all the new equipment you've allowed the road department to buy these last 3 years, how we've changed our process, changed the oils, changed how we compact the rock. We put a steel drum roller on it. We put 2 heavyweight ballast pneumatic tire rollers on it. And we're super efficient and effective at it. And it's, last year our projects came in at $31,000 per mile versus doing an overlay that comes in at about $220,000 a mile that we have to contract out.
Wow.
So you were next there.
Well, I just had a quick question on the storm drains. Is that the machine that you leased?
No, that's the different machine that I want to reach out to the board and try to buy next year. It's
But
about
that's when I
$450.
went on the test with you down here on South Bank or.
Yes. Yeah, that's a Vector truck
Vector
for
truck,
jet
yes.
rodding and vacuuming out storm drain lines. And we really want to add that to our fleet. And we're documenting that as well because we think our costs are going to come way
I
down.
thought that was money well spent.
I've never heard vacuuming out storm drain lines before.
Oh, you ought to see this thing, Commissioner. When it comes again, you gotta
That's
go
pretty
watch
cool.
it. You gotta go watch it.
Yeah.
It's
This equipment is a big 10-wheel chassis with a 10-yard hopper in the back with a huge 8-inch vacuum hose with 600 feet of 1-inch high-pressure hose, jet rod hose, and basically our current equipment is falling apart and it's on trailers and it's really small. Our vacuum has a 3-inch or 4-inch hose. Our jet rodder also has a 1-inch hose, but it has doesn't have much capacity of water. But basically the job site Commissioner Pash is talking about, our demonstration, was we cleaned a 36-inch line in like 20 minutes that would normally take us 4 days to do with our current equipment. And so the thing is that we have, I think it's 37 miles of storm, or 33 miles of storm drain lines. And there's a lot of deferred maintenance in those lines. Can imagine how poor our equipment is now. So we need something like this so we could get our storm drains taken care of. But that's also going to be addressed in our equipment plan in this facility plan, but also in our next storm drain master plan that we're going to talk about next.
Mr. Christensen, Commissioner Herzog's been waiting patiently.
Patiently. So, Rich, when you were talking about the Carpenterville project, chip sealing, you said we didn't make any money, didn't cost us any money, but we got $180,000. What does that mean?
Well, it was 180,000. I believe it was more around 85,000.
Maybe I put 100 on there and I shouldn't have.
Yeah, that's okay. I like that. More money's always better. Basically, we're a nonprofit agency. We're not allowed to make money. And so when we work for a sister agency, we don't work the private sector. We just work with sister agencies in like the state or U.S. Forest Service or in the cities. And so basically, we can only recoup our actual equipment, labor, and material costs. And so when we work with the state, they paid for all the oil, they paid for all the rock, they piggybacked on our purchases, they paid those costs directly to the vendor. But then when we were done, we kept track of all our hours of our equipment and our labor on the job site. And so that $85,000 was just paying the county back
Okay, I got you.
for what
Okay.
it cost us to help them.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Pash?
No, I was done, thanks.
Okay.
One thing I will just
Council
point
Huddle?
out, you know, on the chip seal, I don't want to make him too big of a ego there, but
We had one more question here.
Oh, well, I let him finish, please.
Okay.
I was just going to mention, I've driven on a number of chip seals that have been completed in other areas, and a lot of the ones I see is you tend to get a fair amount of loose rock, and the derivative of that is the cracked windshields. One thing I have seen on his is I don't see near that amount of loose rock, so that sort of bodes well. They're getting a good sealing in there, and they're getting that compaction on the rock, and they know what they're doing. They got a good crew.
Yeah, just to toot a horn a little bit more is the first year we changed our operations on how we did chip seal. We got a write-up in a national magazine for the quality of our work on South Bank Jekyll River Road.
You were gone, and I read that article to the board.
So, no, it's the training, the equipment, and we're getting more efficient and we're getting more effective. The job quality is going way up. You know, the road department team is doing extremely well.
It's that blonde-haired gal on that machine.
Yep.
One thing I do see the ODOT is in the past they just have more or less relied more on an ODOT or overlay type for the other roads. There is a fairly good trend in their going to chip seal. I see them using more of that because it's a lot more cost effective. So a lot of the roads, if you can get in there and seal the surface and keep that moisture from getting into the pavement, that's basically what destroys a lot of the integrity of the road, is you're letting moisture get in the foundation. And so when you do chip seal, it helps minimize that. So it gives you a better lifetime. So.
Council Huddle?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, they're still going. I'm just
Okay.
listening.
You want to go, where were we? Heavy equipment?
Studies. So this fiscal year, the studies in the master plan are, we haven't broken out, but the Curry County storm drainage plan and Harbor Hill storm drainage plan, that'll be combined.
That's next fiscal year.
Going into next. Okay.
Yeah, this fiscal year was just this plan, I believe.
Okay. Good. And then, so heavy equipment replacement. We've got the North Star roadside sprayer, rubber tire excavator, and replace 5-yard dump truck with that 12-yard dump truck.
So we kind of changed that up a little bit because of shop and equipment. We ended up buying the rubber tire excavator that was and a dump truck, and having a brain blockage, I'm sorry. We bought another
Okay.
piece of equipment. Instead of the North Star sprayer, we delayed that purchase.
That one that eats the trees?
No, that's part of the excavator. That's an attachment
Oh,
for the
okay.
excavator. That's a Denise mulcher. It could grind like a 30-foot tall tree to the ground in seconds. And so, but that's
that.
part of that rubber tire excavator.
No, yeah, that's the total road
Yeah.
expenses. Yep.
So for that the 2020 to 2021 fiscal year, we're showing total funds in there for 7.5 million. The big element of that is more probably on the Morrill Bridge, and that Morrill Bridge is going to carry over into the next fiscal year, so that you'll have some carryover on that funding. I'll let Andy step into the next fiscal year, which is the 2021, 2022. If you want to.
Okay. Do you want to go over all those?
Sure.
Okay, so that year's projects, we've got construction projects. We've got Chapman Lane, Old County Road, Woolham Road, Crestline Loop, Titus Lane, DeMoss Road, Galman Lane. And those are all projects, and there's 3 regions that these guys take care of, and that'd be the South Zone. So for MOB costs, they try to keep the projects in the respective zone per year, keep those down. There's a bridge repair project in there at Edson A Bridge.
Correct. We applied for funding for 3 bridges this year through Dyer and their sub-consultant HDR for STIP funds. And so we're not sure if those are going to be approved or not. So that Edson A Bridge may not be performed, but that's the bridge on Sixes River Road where currently it's to 1 lane of traffic with a stop sign at each end, and the traffic is limited to 1 lane of traffic.
Yeah, that's the highest rated bridge you have in there after the Morrill Bridge, so that's why we've got that in here, trying to, just because of that lane restriction you're currently facing, why we're trying to get that funded as soon as we can.
Overlay project, West Hoffield Lane, Lively Lane, Stafford Road, Museum Road, Wilderness Road. So,
Yeah, so all those roads are our chip seal roads and our overlay roads. So those will be in next year's budget that I'll be bringing to you here in May.
and then the remainder of the projects are just, every year we have striping, storm drainage projects, guardrail replacement, and tree removal just budgeted in there, because you guys, that's maintenance you do every year, so.
Yeah, next year's a pretty soft budget because we don't have all those big FEMA projects. And so it's gonna be a smaller, we're gonna be in more of normal maintenance and repair mode than we were this last year.
Maintenance projects, chip seal projects that the county will be doing is Old County Road, Woolham Road, Idson Drive, Kimlin Place, North Bank Chetco River Road, North Bank Pistol River Road, Pistol River Loop, South Bank Pistol River Road, and Airport Road. I mean, one of the items was land acquisition, that maintenance. One of them's the airport land acquisition.
Right, and so that's the one I talked with you about a month or 2 ago about the road department would like to have use from the road department of that 34 acres that the county received in trade for the Flores Lake land swap, and that's in this plan as well.
So studies, going back to studies, the storm drain master plan.
We had a
town-
question.
I was just wondering, on the North Bank, Rogue Road, I thought there was supposed to be a culvert replaced on that this next year too.
No, that was, that's in this, I don't think that's in this plan. That'll be in our stormwater plan, and that was a project that we were teaming up with, go ahead, County Council.
Council Hope?
Oh, well, after you answer the question, I was just trying to save my place in line.
Yeah, the Rogue Watershed Council, they reached out to us to put a fish pipe in on North Bank Rogue, and I think it's called Ranch Creek.
Ranch Creek,
Yeah.
yes.
And their funding fell through. They weren't successful in their grant application. But knowing that they want to get it done, this next plan that we're going to talk to you after this plan, that'll be a project in there. So we keep chasing that.
Okay, sorry.
So go ahead, Council Huddle.
Oh, thanks. So, Rich, you mentioned something about the funds in the Flores Lake land swap?
Yes, and so before Julie Schmelzer left,
Mm-hmm.
is that I helped Julie with vacating the county right of way at Flores Lake that the county owned, and then she put together a project with the state and the board to exchange X amount of acres around Flores Lake to attach it to a state park for some other land they had along Highway 101 that they weren't using, and so the county made that exchange, and I believe that process is complete. And
Just recently.
right, and so I've had my eyes on that 34 acres ever since I got wind of it, and I put it in this plan because the road department needs a place up north to stage all its brush material for burn piles and all its landslide debris and ditch debris, because up north we have gorse and we cannot be trucking that stuff down here, and to truck it down here is major cost. So that 34 acres on a major gorse road, there's gorse growing all around, and so we want to keep all that material up there. In this way we could dispose of our materials in a safe manner and for the foreseeable future. So North County will keep our trucking costs down and our disposal costs down.
So the idea is that land has value and it's in kind of the county general fund, that value, and then you would exchange the value of that land for road fund to the county or something like that, so that the road fund value is still the same and the county then has money it can use for other purposes from that land, or?
that was the thought
Okay.
with past operation Julie Smelser, that whatever that value is, we negotiate that. Right now, the value of that land is $200,000 with all the timber. We do not want to cut all the timber down. It would look horrible along 101 corridor, and we just want to log a small portion in the center of it so we could do our activities. And so the thing is, a lot of that $200,000 value is taking all the timber down. We don't want to do that. So the thought would be we'd find out what that value is to, maybe it's 100,000, I don't know. And then that money would go to the general fund for the commissioners to use as they see fit, or the county. And then the road department would have that piece of county land for its operations for the foreseeable future, so we could have a place to dispose of our materials.
Is there anything going on with the intersection at Wedderburn, North Bank and 101, or the bridge, the north end of the bridge?
Yes, that's the Gold Beach Main Street project that Julie Schmelzer was a part of. And part of her vision was that that 100,000 or whatever it was that was decided to allow road department to have that 34 acres for their use,
Whoa.
would go towards the Gold Beach Main Street project. That was her thought, and there's been a lot of talk about that, but I don't know if that's gathered any support from the board yet.
Yeah, I'm just wondering where that fits in. Have you guys done work on that intersection?
Yeah, we've done I'll say the preliminary design. We've submitted some plans to the road department for their input. There was a pretty active group in there that's driving that project, trying to beautify that location, make it a viewpoint. And thought is to sort of, if you enhance that, people are going to want to stop, pull off, and it sort of dominoes, and people want to stick around and do some things there they're seeing in the river there. So
Hold that thought. Commissioner Pash?
Well, I was just, the acreage that Roadmaster is talking about in Port Orford, we discussed that at a meeting a month or so ago. I think we discussed the possible trade for that. And I thought we kind of had, already chewed on that pretty good, and I don't want to say agreed to, but we're in alignment with the road department to consider that, so.
No. That's going to be a hard sell to the public. So I would need more information on it. I do want to come back to the triangle, though, just to understand, because I heard there was, and you could help me on this, but there was 20,000 on the triangle that was spent out of COVID money. I don't know if that's accurate. I haven't had a chance to trace that yet, towards putting a potential plan together.
Yeah, it was Julie Smelser's project, and she'd asked me if I would help with it and if it got the ground that I'd help deliver the project. I said absolutely, I help. I think it's a benefit to the community, and you know, it's the type of things that City of Brookings would have done, and with downtown beautification and draw people to stay in your community and spend money at hotels, restaurants, maybe go with the guide fishing. And so I volunteered. And so I met with a couple of people from Gold Beach Main Street and Julie and Dyer for their conceptual idea. And then I believe there was CARES Act funding that would pay for the engineering of the project. And we're still in that engineering phase, and that funding engineering has been paid in full already by the CARES Act, I believe. And
You don't know the amount on that.
I want to say it's 23,000.
23,000.
That sounds pretty close, sure. And I saw some very good drawings, and have to say impressive. But you know, so the road department does not have any funds contributed to that yet. We're invested
Zero.
in it. Okay.
Zero. I
Great.
just volunteered my time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the what I call the Pacific High West acres, the 33 acres. You said 200,000. I just the board didn't have agreement on that necessarily. Didn't have disagreement either. Because of the 101 access, you know, I've put a pretty good value on that. Of course, being close to the high school, you know, there's a lot of interest. Let me rephrase that. There is some interest in having a bike to park there, a trail, you know, camping facilities. That is a beautiful, at least on the north side, is a beautiful piece of property, and I've been through it a little bit. You know, and yeah, there's some big trees on that, and so, you know, I'm not thrilled with.
Right.
You
I
know,
think
and
there's enough
I did
area
communicate that a month ago when we had a meeting. I don't want to be I don't want to say no.
Yeah,
of
no, I
course.
think that's a good vision, and so I think that maybe there's enough acreage there to meet both our visions.
And you took the words right out of my mouth.
So-
But you were going to do some potential burning there.
You're right.
At least in the wintertime.
And we typically would, if we were to acquire there, we would burn there. We'd burn there in the, you know, after the rain started in the fall, maybe late spring, depending on how much debris we had. We would try to do it when school was out, you know, maybe Christmas break or something like that. And we tend to burn pretty effectively with blowers and managing our pile so we don't have a lot of smoke. But yeah, that's what we would try to do. And I like the bike ride idea. You know, I wouldn't want to squash that. I kind of look at that.
When you did mention just a minute ago, and you mentioned it before, that, you know, you didn't want to harvest that timber right along the edge of the road and just
No.
down and across, as you know, that's a, you know, that was timber. I'm anything but anti-logging, but in that
Right.
particular case, it really made an eyesore. So I know you're aware of that and sensitive to it. But it's
talk
really
about-
neat to hear you say that there
Yeah.
might be a possible way of developing both, because 33 acres is a good chunk of ground. So.
Well, you got to also realize, and it's in this plan here, is the Oregon Coast Bike Route. So I put in this plan because we have county roads that are identified as being on the Oregon Coast Bike Route. So I'd like to see those roads upgraded to be a bike route. And I have them in this plan, so if there becomes money available from the federal government to upgrade those roads and fill the ditches in, put storm drain pipes, and put multi-use path in, this covers that. And so I'm all about that. So when I look at the Patterson viewpoint that Julie Smelser was looking at, I reached out to the Oregon Coast Bike Route if they were interested in maybe putting a bike kiosk there, if they wanted to, if there's some grant funding that they could contribute for that. So that's how all this stuff works. And so Oregon Coast Bike Route to me is very important because there's a lot of folks that bike Oregon Coast, and they have money. They stop at our restaurants, they stop at our hotels and campgrounds and whatever. And so I think that's all part of that engine of getting money to Curry County.
It's a long-term visitor promotion, you know, effort, and so, but there should be a long-term benefit to the county there in revenue, you know, annual revenue. So, I think we're all thinking along the same lines, how to put that together and maybe do a combination. So, Commissioner Herzog?
So that you know, on Airport Road, there's property on both sides of the road, right?
Right.
7 and
So we'll take the south half, the big piece, and the bike campground could have the north
excuse me,
part.
I did have that backwards.
But how much land do we have on County Shop Road?
Oh, that's just a small shop, and we don't have much, and there's a big building in there, and it's definitely not enough to stockpile slide material.
Okay.
And we do have a small burn pile there, but it's all we can do to fit it in there.
Yeah, you have quite a bit of, you know, in this document, we show where the active slip zones are on the county roads. And up there on that north end there on the sixes, that has a lot of slides in it. So having a disposal area there on the north side is sort of a critical path for the.
But we also have some wetlands in there, don't we?
Yes, there is, and those wetlands won't, I've worked with planning on this, and I really looked into this, and those wetlands, we would not touch those wetlands at all. And so a lot of that land is not usable, okay? And so, but we don't need all 34 acres to do what I'm talking about, and we want to maintain the scenic corridor. We want to kind of keep a low profile in there. We want to have a site that's approved by FEMA and DEQ, so when we have a big emergency project going up north, we have a place to move our stuff, and it meets all the guidelines, so we can get reimbursement for our costs and time, and you know, from FEMA, if possible. So we're looking at sites throughout the county for this because we don't have any. So you know, this is just the north site we're looking at, and there's sites central and south and looking east. And so this is just one of a few more that we're trying to obtain.
So thanks for that extra time.
Okay, go through your studies. So I mentioned the storm drain master plan, tower facility plan, and a heavy equipment plan. Go back to that.
Tower facility plan, you wanna touch base on that as far as?
Yeah, tower facility plan, what I was really looking for was OEM grant funding for that 70,000, not for the road department, to fund that. But the towers is a big drain on the road fund, and towers are highly fundable, and it distressed me to hear that Jeremy Dumar resigned or left us, because he was gonna work on obtaining the grant funding for me, or for that this next year, through the Office of Emergency Management, and so he's no longer here to help me with that grant funding. But you know, we'll have to really talk and look about that, because the tower facility plan is very important. You know all about our towers and all the problems, and towers are not the road department's expertise, and I need this plan to come up with a long-term plan on replacing those facilities and upgrading them as needed. So, but that plan's $70,000. And having that plan, if we reach out to OEM for grant funding and we have a plan that's adopted by the board, that helps raise our grant score. So it's all part of that same process that we're trying to do for roads and storm drains and bridges and, you know, the guardrails in here, you know, all these things, there's potential grant funding for.
Heavy equipment, you have the cat front loader, lowboy trailer, dump truck with snowplow and sander, and I believe the new Vector truck.
Right, and the new Vector truck is going to be in the plan, and I know that's going to be a heavy pull, but I think we'll have the documentation to help support that expenditure.
Vector truck similar to Seymour's type?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, those are really good trucks.
Yeah. No, I mean, we have 33.5 miles of storm drains, I believe it is. It's to not have a piece of equipment that's efficient and effective to clean those types of pipes. That's unheard of for an agency our size. So I'd like to get to where we could be proactive on cleaning our pipes and not reactive, because historically we have a lot of deferred maintenance and we're reactive. We wait till something goes wrong, and you know, those kind of times is when you could lose a road, you could flood someone's property type thing, and I want to be proactive and have these things cleaned ahead of time at a low cost, but it's a high cost up front to buy the equipment.
Yeah, those Vector trucks, just a little bit of past history, and city of Brookings, they had a sinkhole right outside of the city hall there. That was on a fairly good size, I think it was a 30-inch concrete culvert. That sinkhole happened, all that debris got pulled into the existing pipe system. And just because of the length and the depth involved in the city's regular Vector truck, they didn't have the means to deal with it. So they were limping by on that existing system. They had to bring in a outfit out of Portland, Seymour, that had those type of Vector trucks that Rich was talking about. And that went through, and it took them a couple months to clean out.
Yeah, it was
that system.
thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, because that was a big, huge sinkhole at the city hall parking lot. I was working for the city at that time, and it was pretty horrible. And so the type of truck I'm talking about can move 2-foot boulders in a storm drain pipe. It goes through a lot of water, but we have a big tender, but also too, at that time, it's the city was in town, so there was fire hydrants. We had the trucks hooked up full time to fire hydrants, and as fast as they could push the water out, the hydrants were filling them up. But we were cleaning pipes up to 5 feet in diameter that were halfway full of rocks and boulders and logs and all kinds of junk.
Commissioner Pash?
To help you understand what this thing is, it's a jet engine with a fire hydrant hooked to it.
With a hose, with a spray nozzle.
Yeah, it's very impressive equipment. So this year you've allowed me to rent two, one from Camel, one from Vector. Vacon is going to come in here with their truck. It's just a demo here. We're trying for next month.
Mention it.
And
Down to that.
so we're demoing the 3 pieces of equipment to see which equipment the team likes the best. And once we determine what that is, we'll build the spec around that and bring that to you in our May budget.
Just to mention, 2020, 2021 was 7.5 million. 2021, 2022, we had $4 million worth of county road fund projects. Fiscal year 2022, 2023, it's kind of a lighter year for a lot of projects, but a lot of big projects are going to happen, and a lot of staff is going to be on these projects. So you got the Agnes Elahi Road, Jerry's Flat Road, which is a $3.1 million project. The county has $2.8 million in external funds for this one. North Bank Rogue River Road, and then of course our striping, storm drainage projects, guardrail replacement, and tree removal.
Yep.
We're showing on the storm drain in this study the duration of about 6 years, showing $400,000 each year for storm drain projects. So obviously this last year probably wasn't as much expended outside of that. But,
No, there wasn't.
It's going to vary a little bit.
And those projects haven't been identified yet either. And that's going to be in the next, they'll be identified in the next plan. And, you know, one of the things is that what this plan does is it spreads the wealth throughout the county. It doesn't say, hey, Richard lives in Brookings and John lives in Brookings, we're going to spend all the money down there. You know, we every year, we move that same amount of money to Port Orford, North County, Central County here in Gold Beach, Agnes, and South County. So we don't do 2 years in a row in South County. We go, South County, but back up north, and then Central, and just kind of going throughout the county and it's spreading the wealth and making sure all the roads are kept in fair or good condition is the goal. And, we do have some roads that are poor condition and, or in the lower ranges of fair that, we're trying, if we can maintain our roads in fair condition and then do a chip seal and bring them up to good, that's what we want to do. And we don't want to get, we have $500 million worth of infrastructure out there. And if we just did nothing, and just let them totally fall in disrepair, it would cost $500 million to place our 225 miles of roads. But we can maintain them. It costs, historically, the road department about $6 to $6.5 million a year to maintain our roads in a fair or good condition. And that's where we want to stay. Because if we start getting into poor condition, the cost goes up. Now you're not talking about putting a chip seal on it. You might have to grind out the whole road. You might have to not only take the road out, you might have to take the road base out, and you're getting into real money. And so we want to stay keep our roads in fair to good condition through maintenance, which chip seal, like I said, we could do for $31,000 a mile versus an overlay, $220,000 a mile, but overlays last 20, 25 years. Chip seals last, if you do them really good, like 10 years. But if I'm doing 5 miles of chip seal for every 1 mile of cost for the county to do an overlay, that's money in the bank. And so we want to try to get to where we're in a chip seal mode with our good equipment, doing high quality chip seals and keeping our costs down and keeping our roads in good to fair to good condition.
The remainder of the maintenance projects include Agnes Elahi Road, a portion of that, Cougar Lane, Oak Flat Road, and Bear Camp Road, which you'll work with the Forest Service on that one.
U.S. Forest Service reached out to us to chip seal Bear Camp Road, so we're looking at that. So that's in the plan for 2 years from now to perform that work. And so we haven't put it together, but it's in the plan.
Heavy equipment replacement costs for projects. Is to replace 2018 Chevy 3/4 ton double cab with the 4x4 1-ton 4x4 long bed crew cab and liftgate. A roadside spray truck.
Yep.
Cat 926 loader with diamond mower. Replace 550 rock run truck with TI system and rock plow.
Yep.
And replace 8,000 gallon road oil tank.
Right. And so basically, how we're buying all this equipment, we're shooting for like $800,000 a year in equipment purchases, and we're not spending any more money than we normally did. And that's, like I told you, $6 to $6.5 million a year budget. If we're not doing FEMA projects or other emergencies, our budget's $6 to $6.5 million, and our capital improvement, we try to keep around $2.3 million. And so what I did to help buy this equipment is I said, okay, instead of us paying $1.2 million a year for doing chip seals, we're gonna only do $600,000 a year chip seals. We're gonna take that other money and buy equipment. And the reason why that is so important is that our equipment, when it gets old and you're breaking down in the county, it causes to be not efficient and effective. But not only that is, what's happening is in California, it's going to come to us, is these older generation diesel equipment and motors, you're not going to be allowed to use them anymore. So then when you try to sell them at that point, they're not going to be worth nothing. Right now in Oregon, that's not the case. And I could still sell these vehicles, like these dump trucks with these older diesel motors, and I need to get these new generation diesels in there so that in the future we could still do business. Currently, one of our operators that came to work for us a couple years ago, Ray Berkey, came from Siskiyou County. They had a 10-wheel truck. It could only go 300 miles a month per California law because it wasn't the new emissions. And we do 300 miles in a day. Imagine not having a 10-wheeler sitting there for the rest of the month after a day of use. I can't do business that way. So part of this is renewing our fleet as soon as we can and being really aggressive about it. And we're doing less overlays. So I'm taking that. But what we did is we bumped up our chip seals from like 8 miles a year to like 20 miles a year. So we're like doubling up on our chip to take care of those overlays that we're not doing, keeping our roads in fair to good condition. So not just reutilizing the money a little bit differently, still the same amount of money. And so that's how we're doing it.
And then 2022, 2023, I have $6.5 million of total county road funds.
Big part of that is, again, that Jerry's Flat Road, but that was being funded by STIP.
Yeah.
Good. Gentlemen, we're going to take a break about 15 minutes, just not rushing you, but just to give you a little heads up there.
2023, 2024. We have Langlois Mountain Road, Hensley Hill Road. These are all construction projects. Knapp Road, Mackenzie Road, Stone Cipher Road, and Flores Creek Road. And these were all projects that were fair and below as rated by the county. We drove these projects and evaluated them and came up with project costs for Richard. And then the county overlay projects for that fiscal year is Arizona Street, Paradise Point Road, Lakes End Road, I Street, and of course our striping, storm drain projects, guardrail replacement, tree removal budget.
So it's pretty much the same thing
Right.
every year. You know, we're spreading it well throughout the county, and we're sticking to that $6.5 million budget unless we get grants. And well, we're looking at getting those grants. The budget will go way up, but a lot of that will be money coming in, not money we're paying out, because we're getting the grants at 10% of project value if things go well.
Chip seal projects included Langlois Mountain Road, Mackenzie Road, Flores Creek Road, Noble Drive, Childers Road, Cope Loop, Flores Lake Loop, Lakeshore Drive, Hager Road, Flores Lake Road, Boyce Cope Road, Woodruff Lane, and 6 is River Road and Grassy Knob Road. So that's a lot of projects for that year for the county.
Yes.
You can delete that grassy knob, it doesn't need to be fixed.
I live on Grassy Knob.
Studies for that fiscal year are the Bridge Resiliency Plan and a Transportation TSP Master Plan.
Yeah. Well, the TSP was funded by the state, so actually that's going to be next year. It's supposed to
Okay.
kick off any time, and I volunteered for that, and
Okay.
Becky and Planning Department's going to help. So that plan's going to be fully funded, but it's going to be a lot of legwork on our end.
The Bridge Resiliency Plan, we have that contingent on funding. as
Yeah,
well.
that's contingent on funding.
Yep. Heavy equipment replacement for that year is replace low boy tractor, rock run truck with rock plow, replace belly dump truck, 2 of them. Replace 2019 Dodge 4x4 quad cabs, shop service trucks, and a Stormline TV camera system.
Right.
Total costs for that year, 3.68 in total county road fund. Do you want me to keep going?
No, I think we're beating it to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing, I'll skip to the back. We've identified 12 bridges that are considered 50 score and below, which is
The structural
Wow.
deficiency is
structural
a big part of it.
deficiency. Yeah. And they're huge costs, so they're all pretty much dependent on funding.
Just one of them is like $11 million bridge. And so without funding, there's no way we could do that.
Yeah.
If we receive funding, it'll be $110,000 basically. And that, or $1.1 million, excuse me. If we could, we might be able to afford that. But, we'll look at that when it comes, the road fund goes down, we're gonna have to look where we're gonna cut. And so, there might be bridges we might wanna cut, and because these bridges are looped, or you could get to that bridge from either direction. It's not on a road where that's the only way to get there. We might look at that bridge and say, you know what? We're gonna block that bridge off. It's not a through road anymore. Put a turnaround at either end of it. You just don't have the money. At a certain point, the road revenues are not going up, they're going down, right? And as we lose the road fund, they're gonna be going down. At some point, we're gonna have to say, well, how are we gonna do business? And how are we gonna maintain an effective working team and keeping our roads the best condition that we possibly can with the money that we have? And we're not there yet. I kind of see that in the next plan, when 5 years from now, we're gonna be having those really hard discussions. But this plan is pretty much keeping business going as it always has with like a $6.5 million a year budget, unless there's some catastrophe that happens, which could happen. We want to maintain a road fund for those catastrophes. And so, but right now this plan is just basically saying we're maintaining business as normal for the next, this 5 years, because we did this year. And in, so in 5 years, we're gonna have to have this discussion, because this has come up to be at budget committee meetings in the past, where the committee members go, well, what is the road department gonna do when you don't have any money? You know, that question's asked me a lot. We're not there yet, but we need to be thinking that direction, because unless we were able to find a revenue source to fill that missing gap of $3 to $4 million a year of forest revenues that we used to receive, we're not going to be able to maintain that level of service that we historically have.
Okay.
For example, like we started out with the reserve fund this fiscal year of say $20 million. The end of the plan at 2025, 2026 is $6.5 million. So it's a big cut in your reserve, keeping your roads up to good condition.
And that doesn't take in consideration all the storm drains that they're going to be coming in this next plan. So it's an eye opener.
All right.
Good time for a break, huh?
Are you done? You're not done though.
I think we're done with this first plan.
CFP.
Say that again, please, Richard.
I think we're done with this first plan review for the roads.
Okay. So
This
how much more
plan-
time do you need roughly?
Well, I think all I'd like to say when closing out this, what we talked about this road facility plan is, this is what I'm gonna be bringing to you for adoption at the next board meeting. And so if there's any questions or anything you see that you go, Rich, you know what, we think differently or whatever, this needs to be a higher priority, or you know what, you missed this project, please let us know.
Okay.
And, we got a couple weeks till our next meeting to, make those adjustments. And so what I'm hoping to do is get this plan adopted in 2 weeks. And then also, the next plan we're gonna talk about is that you approve that task order to get the next master plan done for the storm drain system.
So you said get it hopefully approved in 2 weeks. Did you meet? Coincidentally, we have a meeting on the 24th. You're probably going to put that on the agenda, I presume.
Yes.
Okay, great. We had to skip 1 week, just normally on the second Wednesday, so just to give you a little heads up there. So here's my schedule situation. I need to be, this will sound a little puffy, but I need to be on the call to the governor's office, just 15, maybe 20 minutes max. So if I could be excused without disrupting the people you have here, and Vice Chair can take over, and I'll get back as quick as I can. But I'm going to ask you to go ahead and start the plan until 3. Take advantage of the time we have, excuse me, till 3:30. It is, it's 3:24 now. So, yeah, you could start for a few minutes, and then I'll sneak out, and we can break for staff Jesuit at maybe 3:45, something like that.
How long is the presentation going to take, you think?
It's just going to be a general overview of what we're seeing is going to be driving the needs for the storm drain master plan. So,
15 minutes, 30 minutes?
yeah, 15.
Okay.
So we should just come back at 3:45.
Yeah.
How's that?
Okay, but just so you know, for housekeeping, we've got to go back into executive session because we didn't do 10A.
Yeah.
And we've
So
got to deal with that.
So 3:45 might be 4:15. You're thinking 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
It should go quicker.
Okay.
I'll see everybody back here at 3:45.
There's something about having land and sea. Never having to choose between digging in or looking out. Here, you can go where the spirit or the wind moves you. To the tops of the trees, along secluded beaches, or into more wild and scenic rivers than anywhere else in the western United States. We're the closest place to the sunset while still keeping your feet dry, and a destination where anyone can begin. We share more than we keep, so you can see more than you imagined. This is a place you have to touch, hold, and feel to believe. The entire shoreline of the West Coast's best coast is open to you, and playgrounds made of forests are waiting for you. Escape to Curry County and don't leave anything out.
If yours is the next big idea, and you need the right place to fine-tune it, build it, launch it, if you're only your best when you can play more than you work, if inspiration comes from the outside, you belong in Curry County. The westernmost point of the land you love, and the edge between familiar and uncharted. Break the pattern. Be where the airports are as close as the beaches, and industry and recreation never cease to amaze. Dock, dive, and dine in a single day, and never lose your connection. This is the threshold of the West. Live where you can do you, and do it well, at the farthest point from ordinary. Curry County, living on the edge.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Wildfire, as everyone knows, has emerged as one of the big major issues affecting Oregon and, for that matter, all western states. A real actionable response that's including how do we fight fire, actively managing our forests so that we don't have the fuels out there, and how are we going to protect communities from smoke exposures. The council is really set up to have a comprehensive strategy that's based on action and based on protecting our communities.
The primary focus we as a board have come through with is that in researching the policies for fire management, yes, prescribed fire has its place on the landscape, but not during fire season. We, as a county, passed a proclamation that says once the state fire marshal declares fire season, it'll be nothing but full suppression, and recently took a resolution to the National Association of Counties, essentially says that they support coordination between agencies and local governments for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens regarding fire. Prescribed fire, fire season, anything that affects our citizens.
This is Lily Morgan from Josephine County, and we are at the Rogue Leadership Forum today, looking at the best possible partnerships that we can come up with to fight the fire issues and the smoke issues that we're facing in Southwest Oregon. So looking forward to coming up with solutions and the partnerships to get the job done so we don't face what we have the last few years with catastrophic fires and smoke that invades our communities for months to come. So this is a good opportunity, and we hope to be successful in the outcome.
Seeing so many people come together has really been exciting for me because there's a lot of expertise, there's a lot of resources, and as we attempt to do a shared stewardship approach to keeping people safe, it's really important that we get together. So my name is Merv George Jr., and I'm the Forest Supervisor for the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest. The first things is making sure to get fires out if they're threatening life and property. The second thing that I'm going to focus in on is when it's safe to do so, to put some fire on the landscape when it's cooler and not during fire season, to reduce these same fuels that are giving us so much fits during the fire season.
Bob Horton, I'm the Fire Chief of Jackson County Fire District 3 in Southern Oregon. The challenges that are facing us in terms of the mega fires and the wildfires that we've been experiencing out in this valley, particularly in the last couple of years, but across the state and across the region. Incredibly concerning to us in the fire community, those in our communities in general, our constituents and our patrons are extremely concerned, as they ought to be. And really the takeaway from the work that's being done now is this is an extraordinary collaboration of dozens on dozens of interested stakeholder groups who are coming together with a common purpose. It's really an inspiring showing of humanity to not only be able to provide for a greater quality of life for our people, but to be strong stewards of our land, so that our future for us and generations to come is incredibly bright.
Very pressing issue. It's bearing down on us. Fire season is approaching, and I am really interested in preventing my home and other homes in my community from being impacted by wildfire, specifically from being burnt down. That's my main reason for being involved.
Quite a collaboration of folks. We're here looking for practical solutions to help us unravel some of the issues surrounding wildfires today here in the state of Oregon. And my focus really is on planning for large wildfire events in advance of their occurrence. That way, when they do occur, we can respond more appropriately to those situations.
Well, I just think it's grand if all of the people all over the state have come together today to be concerned about water. It just warms my heart, because I know that they really will leave here today feeling more impressed about the water, because I have told them that we're all born in water. We cannot live without it. It's our job to take care of it, stop the garbage in the rivers and streams and oceans, because there's life in that water, and it's our job to keep it clean for them. Because we cannot live on this planet without the animal kingdom. I was in Ohio at the Ohio River with Dr. Emoto, the Japanese scientist who had proven water could heal. He and I stood on the riverbank and blessed the Ohio River that they had us come to do. And I prayed that God has still kept the river good for them over there. We were taught when we were little that prayer works. You too will remember your prayers, because they work. It has nothing to do with religion or church.
Why do counties matter? Simple. Counties provide the services we all depend on. If you're concerned about crime, get a regular flu shot. Drive to work. Take public transportation. Or experience a natural disaster in your community. Chances are you benefit from county services. That's why counties matter. With America's system of federalism, counties are a key level of government, serving the people directly. So, do you vote? Had a recent hospital stay? Know someone in a nursing home? More reasons why counties matter. There are 3,069 counties across the country, with populations big and small. Most of us live and work in one. Even the nation's capital is considered a county. These county governments ensure that the food you eat in restaurants is safe. They care for the mentally ill, run court systems, build local economies, and operate 911 emergency systems. They manage parks and recreation facilities. And the list goes on. Thing is, counties serve the American people in so many ways, keeping our communities healthy, vibrant, safe, and fiscally sound. That's why counties matter.
Hi there, I'm Patrick Priest, Executive Director at CIS. And I really enjoy coming every year to this conference because CIS, we are all about counties. We are owned by counties. We were formed by the AOC. This is a great occasion for us to meet everybody in one place and learn what's important to the counties all across Oregon.
It's the networking. I mean, we learn a lot about the different issues that counties deal with, but it's networking with other commissioners, getting ideas on how they handle situations that is the most helpful for me.
I love my job. It actually matters to me on a daily basis. I used to do a lot of charity, and in commissioning in Deschutes County, you can make a serious difference. Lots of things have happened since I've been in office, and I feel like it's important to represent the people. I grew up in Eastern Oregon, and I love the residents of Eastern Oregon. The architect of our first house actually had Doris Day as a dear friend and a client, and he would bring Doris Day up the mountains in Malibu to our house as it was being built.
This is my 4th conference at AOC. My favorite part is the fellowship with other commissioners and coming up with solutions with common situations and with commissioners from around the state to best serve our people. My favorite part about being a commissioner in Josephine County is the people that we work with. We live in the most beautiful place, but we have the most beautiful people. They are talented, artistic, caring. We have such a high level of philanthropy and just caring for our fellow citizens, and it's the best place in all of Oregon.
Hi, I'm Commissioner Martha Schrader from Clackamas County, Oregon. I'm the current president of the Association of Oregon Counties. Oh my goodness, I've been president for 1 year, but I've been a member of the Association of Oregon Counties since 2003. So one of the reasons I really wanted to be president, and I've enjoyed it so much, is because I get to know everybody across the state, all the commissioners, and I've been from one end of the state to the other, visiting with them, talking with them, and really getting an idea of how we differ, but more importantly, what our similarities are and what we can do with one another to move forward with good county government.
I've been coming to AOC now for 4 years. My favorite part of serving as commissioner is trying to bring positive effects for our community and our county.
This is my 2nd year at AOC, and the camaraderie that I've found in my Eastern Oregon partners and just the camaraderie of AOC has really blessed my life.
My name is Court Boyce, Curry County Commissioner. This is a collection of people, county commissioners, public officials, well attended from all over the state. I have the privilege of working with a very diverse group of people, different ages, different backgrounds, different interests, but they're all teaming up to solve the problems of our county, and it's just really a pleasure to be able to be connected with and working with those people, and better days, good days ahead for our county and our citizens.
Hi, I'm Joe DeBolskis. This is my 3rd AOC convention, and my favorite part is the networking with the people. And the breakout sessions are kind of good because it gives me something to focus on, a goal where I want the county to be in 5 years when my term is up.
Hi, I'm Tillamook County Commissioner Dave Yamamoto. Our county college class was probably was the best county college class ever at AOC. It was the largest at over 33 members. When you look at the legislature and the power that the major metropolitan areas have, the rural counties are oftentimes left out of those conversations. AOC really does a terrific job of representing rural counties and rural interests, and we wouldn't have the impact that we do in Oregon without AOC.
My name is Joe Burney, Lane County Commissioner from Springfield. My favorite part is eating good food. My second favorite part is meeting with other commissioners, seeing what they're thinking, comparing solutions to problems, learning how nonpartisan solutions really are, and getting ideas.
Yes. Hi, my name is Derek DeGroot, Klamath County Commissioner, and so I'm running for second vice president of the Association of Oregon Counties. I believe that our association is perfectly poised to solve problems and bring solutions to Oregon politics and communicate with the legislature about the diversity of Oregon.
I'm Jay Bozovich, and I'm a Lane County Commissioner, and so I've been a commissioner for about 8 years and 11 months. And my favorite part about being a commissioner is this job is different every day.
Hi, my name is Alex Tardif, and I'm a commissioner for Columbia County and currently serving as AOC treasurer in my second year. And the thing I enjoy most about AOC and being the treasurer is the ability to bring 36 counties together to build a state vision to move our state forward into the future while building a livable, workable community that we all want to enjoy.
One of the things I really appreciate about our entire region is that we embrace who we are, and I think that's what unifies us. Once the timber and fishing industries collapsed, it took us a long time to get back on our feet. People didn't quite grasp the idea that once these jobs left, they weren't going to get other family wage jobs, and it crippled us.
Things were getting really dire. So we just saw that this was an opportunity to maybe look at that public land a little differently and how it could bring more dollars into our region.
The Wild Rivers Coast is so unique because there are more wild and scenic rivers here than anywhere else in the lower 48 states. The scenic beauty is just amazing. There's so many different places to go, from the national forest down to the protected ocean, and it's just a really special place.
I guess I didn't really know how special it was, though, until I moved away to Portland and came back and saw all the potential here.
We're uncrowded, we're unspoiled, and we're a little difficult to get to, but my God, once you come here, you fall in love.
We just thought if we could pull people to come into this Wild Rivers Coast and stay longer and explore a little farther into our backcountry, there was a lot of opportunities for them to experience.
I think our whole future is at stake here. This area is ready to go. We just need to give it a little kick in the butt.
I'm gonna be honest, when the Rural Tourism Studio came here, I was skeptical because I didn't see far enough ahead that we actually could collaborate regionally, and I'm pleasantly surprised. It's been amazing.
The Rural Tourism Studios was the first time we were able to come together as a region to talk about the future of our economy.
If we can have a strong tourism economy in this area, it's gonna benefit the whole community.
We have to rely on ourselves, and I think through this program, it's sort of opened our eyes to what we could do when we work together. Community leaders really focused on 3 areas: outdoor recreation, food and agricultural tourism, and really building community relationships.
In our area, a lot of the food that's grown all gets shipped away. And so now
All right, welcome back. We're going to open this meeting, this workshop meeting back open at 3:45. And Rich, you're up.
The pressure's on. Microphones? Okay, good.
Yep.
Hello, commissioners.
Hello.
Fancy meeting you here.
Yes. Well, this next plan is our stormwater drain master plan, and this covers our 3,500 culverts that we have throughout the county that are owned and maintained by the county. And I believe it's about 33 miles of pipes that we have. And this plan's going to talk about those, and I talked a little bit about it last one with the deferred maintenance and getting some equipment, but we do have some interagency projects like with Rogue Watershed Council, but there's many of our culverts that, I know you talk about gravel all the time at the ports and everything. Well, that same problem is just with our storm drains, especially our larger ones, that the stream bed has come up so high that our pipes are totally full of gravel, and they're very hard to maintain because there's a lot of rules with National Marine Fishery Services and ODFW because we're in critical salmon habitat. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that and the cost of these plans. And what we're really looking at first we were looking at having two plans. One was the Harbor Hills and Bench plan that incorporated the Port of Brookings Harbor because there's many deficiencies there. And there was another plan that was just that was completed years ago for the county and city of Brookings. But what we're really looking now is just having an overall arching plan that will be a north plan, a central plan, and a south plan in our 3 zones, and we'll incorporate that Harbor Bench plan into the south plan with all those deficiencies. And so I think I'll just turn it over to Dyer and kind of talk about what we're going to do and the cost.
Okay.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
So he sort of explained the overall view of the master plan, breaking it into the 3 regions, which is the same way we did the road capital improvement project. So you got North Zone, Central Zone, South Zone. So we'd utilize that same format with this. Usually on the storm drain master plan, when you're evaluating the existing culverts, storm drain pipe, you have a design storm that you're using as a basis. Typically in municipal type work, we use a 25-year storm. That's also what the county has for theirs. One item we have suggested on some of your arterial roads, which are a little more key to the area, you may want to consider a 50-year storm. Currently, Highway 101 ODOT uses a 50-year storm in evaluating their culverts and pipes. So we think that might be prudent on a handful of these projects for the county. Basically, that just gonna increase your flows a little bit for a design storm. As Richard said, you got 3,500 culverts, and an analysis that we do for a storm drain system. We break out a drainage basin, and that basin is what flows into that particular pipe. To try to evaluate 3,500 basins, that would be a little bit too cumbersome for what we're showing. So what we've done is we've sort of narrowed that down, anticipating we're going to evaluate 500 basins. And part of that will be based on the road department. They have a good feel for where they have trouble spots, where they're experiencing overflows or other deficiencies. So we would include that in the sort of the basis for which ones we're going to analyze. Each analyzation you're going through and developing flows for that particular basin, and then based on the size of that existing pipe or culvert, you can determine what that pipe will take. Obviously, if it's overflowing, it's going to show it's going to be undersized. So the recommendation would come in through with what that pipe needs to be, and then we'll develop costs for replacing those pipes. The costs are can be a little bit of a tiered system, because where you have pipes that you have fish issues with, right, your permitting process really becomes quite cumbersome. You got ODF&W, DEQ, and then as we sort of ran into on the Cedar Creek culvert, you had an existing 60-inch pipe that needed to be replaced. We were anticipating bringing in a 7-foot pipe just based on what was recently done upstream. When we got into the permitting to get it from the ODF&W, they did an analysis and said it needs to be a 12-foot pipe. That increased the cost considerably. And then after ODF&W did their analysis, National Marine Fisheries came in and said it needs to be 1.5 times that. So it changed originally from a 6-foot pipe to ODF&W saying 12 foot. Now NIMP's saying need to be 18 feet. So those type of issues can really snowball your costs. So that's going to be one thing on these culverts where we have the fish-bearing streams. Those costs, you're probably going to see that they're going to be probably significantly higher just because of that potential. Study parameters, what we have done and the number of the other storm drain master plans we've completed. We typically break it out into 7 chapters. First chapter is mainly an introduction. Second chapter is goes over the study area, includes the topography, type of soils, the flooding hazards. Third chapter, that's a more detailed one that gives an overview of the existing system. One thing the county has here, they have a pretty good GIS database, and they've also done an analysis, and they keep that current with the existing culverts as far as how they're rating them, whether it's good, fair, poor. And that'll come into play as far as which ones we're going to concentrate on doing the analysis. The fourth chapter, it's where we get into the planning criteria. That includes the federal and state regulations pertaining to the stormwater systems. We also touch base on the local ordinances. And in this particular case, we've had some discussion with Richard. The county has some ordinance, but he would like to have some additional ordinances developed as part of this plan, just to give the county maybe a little bit more oversight and helping to maintain that existing system. So sometimes homeowners can put debris in the ditches, and they figured, well, it's just going to wash on down. Well, you do that debris, and then sort of plugs up Richard's culvert. Well, then he's expending quite a bit of effort to go in and through and clean it. So there are some steps a person or the county can take to help clear steer of that kind of stuff. The fifth chapter, that's where we'll go in and do the hydrological analysis based on the drainage basin, the slope characteristics. Some of the bigger pipes, we anticipate having to go in and get the actual slope of the pipe, confirm the diameter, because that comes into play with determining is that pipe going to pass a 25-year storm. The chapter 6, that's where we're evaluating the results of the hydrological analysis. And if we show a pipe can't handle it, then we're going in and running models of what that pipe needs to be and coming up with alternatives. So maybe there's a way, if you have a deep culvert, it gets to be a real extensive cost to go in and replace it. Is there ways to reroute flows away from that culvert or a portion of those flows where you're thereby saving costs and not having to replace such a deep pipe? So that's where you're coming up with alternatives. And then last chapter is the recommended plan. That's where you're going to go through, prioritize the projects that came about with the deficiencies we noted in the master plan and the hydrological analysis. And then we'll go through and prioritize those projects based on need. So that, see, the stormwater maintenance plan, that'll also be part of this study as far as maintaining the overall system. And I think we'll also identify again those projects where Army Corps of Engineers and DSL, sometimes you get into the established waterway, then you're also dealing with that type of permitting. So this is a fairly large study document just because of the you're dealing with the overall county. And as such, we're anticipating this type of study will take around a year to complete. So that's, we show starting this, say in March, depending on, not March, but April of this year. It'd go through a sort of a winter cycle, so it wouldn't be complete till the following April. We would have 2 to 3 meetings with road department staff and other pertinent county personnel just to go over the projects, and there's some ones that they want to prioritize over some of the other ones. So, any questions?
All right, thanks, Michael. Any questions for Michael? Chris?
I have a question from Rich, if I could, please. Is there any help from federal government on this? Because I'm seeing the fees 291 and 119 for both projects. For both.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, 294 and 119.
right. I looked into that to help for funding through DSL, who helped with the last plan with the city of Brookings and the county for the harbor bench and the port. And I will look for that, but last year it was not available. But I'll reach out to DSL as well. I think, though, what you really got to look at is, what I look at is, yeah, there's a big cost up front on this plan, but with one $500,000 grant, you paid for this plan. There's potential for multiple grants in these plans. And these plans, we'll keep chasing this money for years. Just because this plan ends in 6 years doesn't mean that we're going to stop doing that. And like I said, in 5 years, on this last plan, we're going to look at renewing that plan and updating it because different deficiencies have come to our attention or things have changed. And so I kind of look at it as a leveraging tool forward to get funding. And so, yeah, there's a high upfront cost to this plan. The county's never had this plan. And, this plan, there's going to be public input like we had in the last plan. And what was really nice, some of that public input we had in the last plan that we addressed, I had other customers call and say, hey, what about this? And I go, well, look at the plan, and actually we had it covered. And I said, well, our master plan says we're going to do this, this is what our plan is. And so it's something that I'm not just going to get done and put it on a shelf or forget about it. It's something I'm going to be using every year for budgeting. It's going to be something that when customers call, I save a lot of that information that's given to me the last 3 years that I found a deficiency. I save all that stuff. I try to address it in these plans like we did in the road plan. And so through these workshops and the community input, plus all the input from all the road partners, the field crews, the engineering, we put all our efforts into addressing every issue that we know and try to get them into these plans.
Okay, thanks. That's all I have.
Any other questions? So this plan will help us when we go to get grants. We'll say, hey, we got this plan, and that's a benefit, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. And so when you apply for a grant, why are you asking for this money? Well, we have this adopted plan by the Board of Commissioners, and it's an engineered plan with real numbers. So that when you do your grant application, you're not trying to hire an engineer to come up with these numbers. You already have them. Yep. And they're in an adopted plan that the board supports.
Moves you to the head of the line is what it does.
Yeah, it does. It raises your grant score. Absolutely.
So we're city engineer for a lot of cities throughout southwestern Oregon, and a lot of the major projects that we undertake for the cities, almost all of them have some type of planning document that outlined where that project came from. So we're process of the City Gold Beach here. We've got a water project that's out for bid right now. It's about $1.5 million project. That came about of a water master plan to show the need for it. And that one, the city has got funding from the state for that. So having those type of a planning document goes a long ways towards securing that funding. So.
All right, good.
All right. Well, welcome back. We're done.
Well, I've got some good news when everybody's ready. Is it really the end?
Yeah, if we don't have any more questions.
My honor. You planned it that way.
Yeah.
Well, hey, good news is from the governor's program on the measurement that they use for risk level to the counties. Yes, we're an extreme, but they, her staff or whatever, decided that they're going to have a 2-week grace period. So we just went into extreme. That means that there'd be no restrictions changed in the next 3 weeks. So if we come down to high or moderate, we'll be in very good shape. A lot of discussion about high school sports, schools, and you know, it's not enough at all, but it's good news, and we're just going to keep building on that. And I appreciate the dedication of this board, and also 1 million of the 4.2 million people in Oregon have been vaccinated. Sorry. And the average age of the death in Oregon is 78.9. They've just amended that statistic. So basically 79 years old. There's more, but I think that's enough for today. Sorry I missed the last part there, but I'm going to go back and look at it on the video. Much appreciated, gentlemen.
All right.
Okay, just in closing, I plan to bring to you the next meeting a task order and move this forward. What I really need to do, I need to do a little more checking. As Mike said, we'd like to kick off this plan as soon as possible. So I want to look for like $40,000 to $60,000 in this year's budget that I could start this plan now, not wait till July 1st. So I have some legwork to do and be reaching out to you with a agenda routing slip here in the next week. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Oh, you broke it. Oi.
Commissioner Pash?
Well, I know we've got another thing on here, but we have to go back into executive session because we didn't do A, and that's going to take up quite a bit of time.
And I told Director Rickert that I was going to postpone that, which is fine. And that is on, you're talking about the workshop item, restaurant fee decreases or reductions?
For a later meeting, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we're done here then.
So we're going to leave workshop, adjourn that, and then go back into regular session, then go to executive session, correct?
Go directly back into executive session.
Unless you want to do that for a regular session. Is that right?
Do that. We still have to go back to regular session, but we can go from here directly back to executive.
Okay.
Or we can go.
However you want. You're the chair, sir. You do it how you want to do it.
So we're leaving workshop. Again, the date is March 3rd, 2021. And we're going to go out of workshop into regular session. And
Regular or executive?
regular, so we can now go back into executive. I thought we had to be that stage, that step.